going down, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Commander Ad Populum. Commander for the people, by the people, for the people. This is episode 23. My name is Ryan. Welcome. We are concluding our interview with my friend Tony, so I want to jump right into things. But before we do, of course, big thank you to FusionGamingOnline.com, where you can go for all of your gaming needs. And of course, all of Fusion's sponsored content can be found on themanabase.com, Commander Ad Populum, as well as other written articles, YouTube videos, the whole works. It's all there. Go check it out. And of course, big thank you to all the patrons. Patreon.com/CADPopcast is where you can go. That is sort of the official platform for Commander Ad Populum. There are benefits to becoming a patron, in addition to my unending thanks, of course, a shout out on the show, discounts on any of my altered art products, and of course all of the altered art tutorial content that is being produced. I do have a couple in the tank that I'm just working through, kind of the light editing that they take. So those are coming out again, everybody. Just be patient. There's lots going on. The wrapping up the summer, taking the garden out, all that jazz. So big thank you to everybody who's taken part in those or told me that you like those, because they're still coming and I really like doing them. So we're going to get right into the interview with Tony today. Big thank you to him. He does say his Twitch and Facebook and all that at the end of the interview. So if you're interested in contacting him or being friends with him on Facebook, you're more than welcome to do so. But enough about that. We cover all that at the end of the interview. So let's get into it just after this.
Coming out of jail, I was, I had gotten my health back. I was clean. I felt great. For me, if I get clean without even continuing, to treat my disease, things just start to come together. I got a new job. Everything was going great. But then I get to thinking, had a problem. It got bad. I'm good now. I'll start drinking casually, whatever it is, the stuff that's not going to make my life immediately unmanageable. And
yeah, like I was talking earlier about my uncle, 100 days, and it's like, oh, I'm good now. I can move out with my girlfriend, and I can, start going to social functions again, what have you, right?
Right.
Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I was at the point where I had been to Narcotics Anonymous meetings. I was, forced to through probation. And, I don't want to say that NA or these meetings are the only way that somebody can get clean, because that just wouldn't be true. But it's the way that I got clean, right? It's my story.
Okay, and NA or Narcotics Anonymous is the same thing as Alcoholics Anonymous or AA, if people are unfamiliar with NA.
Right, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little more open-ended. I know it seems more specific because it's Narcotics Anonymous, but we don't distinguish between drugs. Alcohol to us is a drug, so if you're an alcoholic, you're an addict. It's just specific.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so I had been exposed to these meetings before, and it's not like I heard all this stuff, but I knew that there was a place, right? I knew, and this was a new thing to me, right? Here I was in this place that I had been before, where I had abruptly crashed and had the desire to stop using, was sick of it, but I actually had something that I could go to. I wasn't completely lost. So I wound up going into a detox. And when you're in detox, you get these people come in, which is something that I do today. People who come in with clean time come in and share their story and share how they got clean. And, it's how the whole thing works,
Yeah, it's a support system, and maybe you share your story, share what you did, and give people ideas even, right?
Right.
You do all the things.
Yep. Yeah. So, really, that's all I needed was a combination of things. Being in the right state of mind, where I was willing to take some suggestions, right? Where I had completely run out of my own ideas because they were all just going to lead me to get high eventually, or immediately, whichever it was. Fast, slow, it happened you'll hear, if you go to these meetings, you'll hear a lot that the disease of addiction is cunning and baffling, and it is.
Oh yeah.
It'll take me 6 months to get back to my drug of choice, if that's what it takes to get me there.
Yeah, it'll confuse you, and it'll lie to you, and it'll make you lie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll make you do some uncharacteristic things, unsavory things too.
All right. So here I was, freshly clean, detoxing like a mother, but I had been through it before, and I knew that if I hung on for a little while, that I was going to feel physically better. And then it was a matter of figuring out how to stay clean, right? Because getting clean, I don't want to say it was easy, obviously, but easier than staying clean, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I learned how to do by going, there was two-year period of my life where I was going to these meetings every single night. That's what I needed. I used every
night.
I used every day, morning, night for a decade,
I guess that's if it takes equal or opposite reaction.
Right.
Every day.
Just about. They say there's a thing that people say 90 and 90, 90 and 90, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, 90 meetings in 90 days. And, I probably did 2 years, like a 500 and 550, whatever you want to. I went to a lot.
Yeah. And it's different for everybody, right? I mean, that's I latched onto the everyday thing because that's profound.
Mm-hmm.
And people can relate every day to, like, every day that you use is every day that you might have gone to a meeting. That's very jumps to the front of your mind when you're listening.
Right. Yeah.
So when you're talking at these meetings now, or at detoxes or hospitals, or I don't know, maybe you talk at schools, do you talk to kids? What do you say to anybody? Who do you talk to, and what do you say?
Generally how it goes is I share my experience, strength, and hope. I try not to voice my own opinions necessarily about addiction, but rather share what I've gone through, and how I got clean, and then those that can identify with that may benefit from that. And if you can't identify with any, we try to teach, try not to compare as much as possible, and just identify with what you can, take what helps and leave the rest. Because look, we're humans, man. Everyone is so different, right? But the differences pale in comparison to what we all have in common.
That's a strong message right there. Hold on, I want to stop you right there real quick. We are all so different. But what was so profound with what you said right there is the differences pale in comparison to how much we are all the same. That's an amazing message. That drives home that whatever that drives home whatever you're struggling with. There are other people out there that are struggling with it as well, or that have struggled with it in the past and can maybe help you.
Yeah.
Or be your comrade through struggle.
Yeah, we're like family, man.
Whatever is troubling us, that bonds us. That's why firefighters, police officers, military have such a strong bond with each other. Maybe recovering addicts are the same.
I go to these things, right, and there's guys that have been coming for decades. They've been clean for 20-something years, 30-something, whatever it is. And they're still showing up. They're still going to these things and sharing their experience, strength, and hope. They're still meeting with other addicts, and just none of us are paid to do this, right? Like, there's no. Do those people that have been clean for that long, do they still have the desire or the urges to use? Sure.
They still know what it feels like. Nobody ever quits.
That's why it's one of the reasons we keep coming. Is we need the newcomer who comes in fresh off the street to remind us what it looks like, what it feels like, right?
What it feels like to be at that place that you were at. What I called rock bottom.
Because we'll forget. If I stop
Wow.
involving myself directly in recovery with other recovering addicts, I'll forget. It's just a matter of time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? You know what's funny is when you inverse that or flip that onto its head, you get the experience that we get when we game, when we play cards. Is if we didn't have an influx of people to remember what it was like when it was all brand new, you know, when you were playing Jizam Jin and getting your ass beat, when I was playing Twilight's Call in Invasion, right? My 75 card pile of jank, right? If there wasn't new players to remind me of that, that's my own way of kind of relating to what you said, being a non-addict. Is that's why we never quit gaming, because I mean, and I think you have kids now, right? Or just one?
I have a daughter. My fiance has 2, so I have 3 kids.
3 kids. So and they're probably just getting into all of these things that are what we're talking about with regards to gaming, not using.
Yeah.
So you're getting to experience some of that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's got to be special now that you've been clean and able to do that with them.
Yeah, it has. Actually, Victor, we've got him started with Magic. He's been just loving it. He'll sit there with a binder of cards, just putting cards in different slots and taking them out, and for what would seem like no reason, but I think back of like when I was a little kid, and that's what you do. You just hold these cards and look at them, and I mean,
it's part of his safe place. Part of his identity is in these cards now. How old is he?
I just turned 8.
Just turned 8. Yeah, that's kind of right around when I started playing. And sometimes you just flip through cards and you just look at them. I remember that. I remember what that feels like.
I mean, hell, I didn't know it back then when I was that young, but each one of these cards is a damn painting,
That's real life. That's real life. I can certainly relate to that, being somebody who paints.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's so excellent. So, okay, so if we can wrap it up and put a bow on this, I want 2 more things from you.
Sure.
The first thing is this. What is the message from you to the listeners? What's something that people can recognize in case somebody they know, a friend, a family member, a fellow gamer, needs some help? What do we say? Do we ask? Do we not ask? I know that everybody's different, but I use the term red flag. Do those exist outside of people doing drug replacement? What is the red flag that we look for?
Sure. I mean, it's tough, man. Most people aren't in denial that they're an addict. Most people understand that they're an addict. The denial comes in that they're convinced that they just haven't yet figured out how to manage it, right? I know, because I was in that place for years. And when somebody's in that place, there's very little that you can do.
There's a certain point that they get to that they have to figure out that they can't manage this.
Right.
And nobody can tell them otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Some people, it takes just losing a single job, or their wife saying, look, if you don't do something about this, I can't live like this anymore. Some people, it takes 75 trips to a detox. Some people
going to jail a bunch of times, or losing a marriage, or like you said,
Some people use until they're 80 years old. Some people die. A lot of people die. A lot.
You know what? On the bright side, to get us out of that, at least I can say, if you are addicted to Magic, probably you're not going to end up there.
Probably not going to die.
Probably, which is a definite positive.
Yeah.
So,
but you're asking, you're asking what can somebody do, and it's a loved one, and I mean I know I gave kind of a negative answer, and it depends where the person's at. I mean, it's definitely different if, say, you have someone who's been in recovery before, has had clean time before, and they're using again, right? So they have the knowledge, they know what they need to do. It's just a matter of doing it. Sometimes, I mean, I deal with addicts' parents all the time. You know, the parents will show up at meetings and say, you know, this is what's going on with my son or daughter, you know, whatever, and I can't get them to. And it's like sometimes, like, if I wasn't in danger of getting kicked out of my parents' house, right? Because I didn't have any money. Obviously, didn't have my own place and stuff. I had been kicked out, expelled from school. You know, I had just been incarcerated, and it was the end of the line for me as far as a living situation. Not that stops everyone, but I feel like someone has a higher chance of dying as a result of this disease if they're enabled, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's tough, but I've told plenty of parents before, you know, they're reluctant. They want to like section someone or whatever, basically kick them out of the house, but they're afraid that then their son is gonna go use and die, and it's like your son is using and he's in danger. It's
going to make it worse. And I mean, you live in the northeastern United States. If it's like February and you get kicked out, like that's a bad place to be, right? I'm in the Canadian prairies, man. It's like -40 here, like for 3 months. So, right. I mean, it's hard if you're recognizing this kind of behavior in somebody that is your friend or that you game with, because you can't just cut them off. But is a more social answer maybe, refrain from having booze at your magic night, your cube night, your commander night? Is that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, first and foremost,
refrain from that. Even if you don't think that if you just think that there's a problem, but nobody's ever kind of said it,
right?
You just refrain from it, right?
The first thing would be to, like, just talk to the person as respectfully, and because you're coming from a place of love and just being able to communicate that. I mean, you see like interventions, right? And those can be very effective things to get somebody to, that could be the tipping point, right? Like for me, it was just losing yet another job, and and it just happened to be like, if my boss had been more lenient and kept me on for another couple months, I probably would have kept using for a couple more months.
You would have had a couple more paychecks.
And I could have died.
Yeah.
Absolutely could have died. I'll tell you what, if I used today the way that I used then, I wouldn't make it a week. No way I'd make it a week. With all this fentanyl and, you don't have to get into specifics, a little off track now, but yeah, people are dying out there.
Yeah.
These days.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
All super powerful stuff. I hope for anybody listening at home, if you do have anybody in the front of your mind after this conversation that we've had today, if you have anybody that you think might be struggling, might need help, might be open to a conversation like Tony was talking about, know that there is help. Me and Tony are going to talk off air, and I'm going to get a bunch of his suggestions on maybe links or phone numbers that I can provide in the show notes for both of these episodes, where even if you don't talk to the person, if you just have questions, there are places that you can go to get these places answered, like Tony was just saying. The second thing that I wanted to do, I said the first thing a couple minutes ago, the second thing I want to do is very much thank you, Tony, for being here. You took almost 2 hours out of your life, because we had some technical difficulties to talk to the listeners today and talk to me today. Thank you very much, truly, from somebody who has experienced this and other people, family members, friends.
It's my pleasure.
Any final words before we get off? Any final message, the take home, the TLDR, if you will, of the conversation?
Yeah. I feel like I gave a bit of a negative response before, and a lot of that is because a lot of the reality of addiction is is not a positive thing. But recovery, however, is positive. People do recover, you know. The majority of the people that I associate with today in my life are in recovery and have, significant recovery.
And a fairly strong camaraderie or bond as a result, I'm sure.
Yeah. I will say, one of the only other places I see that sort of community is within the magic community. Specifically, and especially in Legacy, I will say.
You actually just slayed me with that, because this is a Magic the Gathering podcast, not a self-help and addiction podcast. You actually got me. I'm smiling right now. You got me. In the Legacy community, of all places, the place that's like the spiky, scary place, because they're just going to get rolled by everybody that's got dual lands and Force of Wills. That's the best place to be, you're saying?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's some unbelievable people. I it's very rare that I run into anybody that isn't just like one of the nicest people I've met, you know. It's really a great community to be a part of. But yeah, I mean, I've said a number of times that I wouldn't trade my life in recovery for anything. You know, I look back and I don't have regrets, because I'm happy with where I am today, right? And I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't done what I did then.
That's right. It made you who you are.
Right. And active addiction is hell. But recovery is possible, and it's incredible. It is incredible. You don't know the feeling when you play a part in saving someone's life, and then you get to share that experience with them, right? And then become like a second family. And it's an amazing feeling, you know?
That actually is amazing.
It is. Like it doesn't happen often, but sometimes I'll share at a detox or something, and then I'll see that person, you know, with some significant clean time years later, and it's like it's just awesome to be able to see that.
Wow. And you had a part in that. That's like saving somebody's life.
Mm-hmm. And
that's amazing.
And then through recovery, I'm able to get back into one of the and do the stuff that I love, right? Like magic is something that I love, you know.
And now you can do it with your kid.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah. That's
amazing. I don't really have any other words for, like, I'm just taken back by that a little bit. Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
So if people want to find you and talk to you about any of this, are you open to that? Do you have, I know that you mentioned your stream handle at the start. Do you have Twitter? Do you have Facebook? You're part of the Leaving a Legacy Facebook group, so I'm sure that you can be reached there if you'd like. Give everybody the quick synopsis of where they can find you online again.
Right. I won't say my Twitter because I don't even use it, but you can find me on Facebook. I don't mind put my name out there, Tony Del Prete, so that's TonyDelprete. If you want to friend me on Facebook, just shoot me a message, you know, because there's always like random friend request, you know, like hacking and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so, that's right. Yeah.
Just shoot me a message on there. I'm sure we can put it in the show notes. But yeah, I do streaming. I stream a Blue-Red Delver tempo control list. It's like a Delver control deck at twitch.tv/Tony Scapone. So Tony Scapone is my gaming alias, my Moto handle. It's TonyScapone. Yeah.
You've got it on lockdown. That's you everywhere.
That's me. That's what I used to play Counter-Strike on, Dota. It's like a nickname that was given to me by a family friend when I was like 5 years old, and it just
excellent.
It stuck, you know. It's so many people at different points in my life have just assumed my last name was Scapone.
And you're probably Italian as well.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, not 100%, but 100% yes, I'm
awesome.
Italian, but like a third. I'm a bit of a mutt.
That's excellent. Well, everybody in Canada is a mutt.
Right.
That's just how it is here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyways, Tony, huge thank you for being here. This interview actually means so much to me. You don't even know. Even if nobody listened to this, I'm happy that we had the opportunity to talk tonight. So everybody else who is actually still listening and still here, thank you. I'll see you just after this. And that's it, everybody. That is everything that we had time for this week. We wrapped up that interview. I'm recording this section on a different day. We wrapped up that interview at nearly 11 p.m. at night, and my wife was sleeping and kind of just went to bed. But lots of heavy-hitting topics there and lots of very meaningful things for me to think about and to message to the listeners on, the Commander Ad Populum Discord or on social media in general. I'll be sharing this episode or these 2 episodes with all of my friends on Facebook. I would encourage everybody to do the same because it's not so much focused on gaming over the last 2 weeks. It's been very much focused on real life stuff. And like I touched on a few times in the interview, it's very important for me to have this conversation and to be part of conversations like this. So I'd like to thank Tony for that one more time. I'd also like to thank FusionGamingOnline.com. They are the official sponsors of Commander Ad Populum, and you can find all of Fusion's content on themanabase.com. I'd like to thank all the patrons who've been along for, 23 episodes now? It means a whole ton to me that you are enjoying the content and like the interview style episodes like this. If you'd like to hear more like this, let me know on the Facebook thread for episode 22 or 23 or the Twitter thread for 22 or 23. I do have another guest lined up to talk about some of the heavier hitting stuff within the world of Magic the Gathering. That's going to come out in a couple weeks. I'm recording that this week and I want to split it up with kind of a regular episode. But if you're digging on episodes like this, we've got another one, at least one coming. But next week's going to be a normal one. We've got a set retro. We'll have a technical section. We'll have a community section, everybody. I'll see you then. I'll see you next Wednesday.